Welcome to episode 10. 10, 10, 10, 10. And boy, is it a
Consistency.
week.
We had a week.
From diversity, equity, and inclusion, we've had a week.
And the week is still going.
Yes,
But
still weekend.
that week started off with a bang, with a big old breakup. Taylor Swift, we are never ever getting back together, between America's least favorite daddy couple, Taco and the Space Karen. If you know, you know. Trump and Elon.
Mm-hmm.
So Elon's term at the end of his, special government position came to an end. He left the White House with a shiner in just complete shame, and immediately just started crashing out on Twitter when he was saying the big beautiful bill was an abomination. And then that just escalated to him just saying, you know what? Trump was hanging out with Epstein, and he's a graper. He was hanging out with Epstein. So that happened. And then after that, Trump said, you know what? I think I'm gonna pull your government contracts because you're the biggest welfare baby in this country, right? So then Steve Bannon says, you know what? Deport him. Deport this guy. Get him out of the country right now. We don't even need him. And, they don't do due process anymore. So go for it. Just go in there and swoop in and take him. You don't need to put him in front of a judge or check papers. I mean, he stayed after he came here for school and then never finished school. So he's here illegally. So just get him out of here. And in between all of that, though, even before the Epstein tweet, Elon had just such a very specific tweet that for some reason people are just right over their heads. Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. That's so specific. That's such a fucking specific tweet to put out. That's suspicious. That's suspicious. Weird. That's weird. What do you mean by that? And I'm just confused because everybody is saying, but he was with Epstein. And like, guys, I need you to focus. I need you to lock in on this tweet, because the whole reason we have this podcast. We all wanted to be in one Discord where we sounded crazy together, saying that funny things happened in the election. And he quite literally said a funny thing happened in the election. And just no attention to this one at all. So I'm going to need everyone to stop ignoring that. Which leads to the next topic. In New York, Rockland County, New York, Smart Elections, a nonprofit agency that is dedicated to ensuring the integrity of elections, filed a lawsuit because they thought there was funny business in the election. So they filed a lawsuit. And what stood out about it initially was that in Rockland County, Kamala Harris got 0 votes. Everyone said, that's suspicious. That's weird. Yes and no, because in Rockland County, it is a very Hasidic, big Hasidic Jew population there. And they vote in blocks. Just found this out this past week. So the people running for public office, they will go to the rabbi and say, hey, rabbi, please tell everyone to vote for me. And that's how they vote. They say, everyone, this is the person we're voting for. That's how they do it. It's not illegal. It's a thing. But there are people that have written on sworn affidavits saying that, wait a minute, I voted for Kirsten Gillibrand. After I looked at my voting record, it either says I didn't vote or that's not who I voted for. And that is where the funny business comes into play, because Rockland County is not the only county listed in that lawsuit. There's 14 other counties with people saying the same thing. My vote is not showing as registered. It looks funky. It looks suspicious. It looks weird. So Smart Elections brought this to a judge. A judge said, you know what? This is suspicious. That's weird. Let's take it to discovery. So the judge thinks this has legs. So everyone that was saying, oh, there was no possible way, it's now Smart Elections, okay, there is data. There have been numerous prolific statisticians and just people that dedicate their life to data saying there was something funky that happened in November. Even Walter Mebane, the person he's a professor at the University of Michigan, and he is the person that every country goes to when they think there's funny business going on in their election. And he looked at the data, this from Election Truth Alliance, but still it's all relevant. And he said, I think there was funny business. I think you guys got hosed. Something happened here. So there's something to it. Okay, you can't just keep calling people crazy anymore. You want to start calling people crazy? Call the judge crazy. They haven't even gone to discovery yet. So at least let it go through the courts before you start calling people conspiracy theorists and crazy. Because Trump got his day in court with his. He had 60. He went 60 times and lost every time. I wanted him to go to court. I said, go for it. Put it on the permanent record that you lost 60 times. I wanted him to keep going back. We like due process, right? Let's see what happens. That's all. I just want to see what happens. No problem with checking your work, right? What is everyone so scared of?
Interesting.
Let's see.
Weird. Odd.
Suspicious. Sus, as some would say. A little sus.
Now,
just
a
a
little
bit.
disclaimer here. While we are Blue-Lusional, we are not blue anon. So, whatever does come out of discovery here, I need to be abundantly clear. We cannot change the past. We can only protect our future. Please. There's not going to be a council. Just stop all that. Please, stop.
A council?
A council of powerful women.
They're not going
council.
Special council that
it does not
Lotus
matter.
Queen's going to lead.
It does not matter what comes out of discovery, whether they shoot it down or whether the whole thing blows up and it's like, oh, fuck, hell yes, everything we knew was right. If that happens, what comes next is impeachment. What comes next is removal. What comes next is we do the same thing for J.D. Vance, and then we have Mike Johnson. Or we ignore that section, continue to fight back in other ways, and maybe we let Vance be, well, I'm sorry, James Donald Bowman. He doesn't deserve the stage name. Regardless, we have next steps. So let's not jump to conclusions. And on top of it all, let's remain logical. Please, please. Amanda's mild takes, knitting cult lady. Please, just follow them. They're speaking truth. They've been right every time so far. Every single time they've been right. Just come on. The couple of times that they were off, they have said so and corrected themselves. Let's be, graceful for humanity and smarter than your average bear. Oh God, I just dated myself. Oh my God. Okay, next story on the topic. Also going to calm everyone's nerves a little here. Palantir is creating a database of everyone in the United States. Guess what they already did? This is news and it's not. Still call. Call your senators, call your reps, 5calls.org. Use the scripts, get the information, read why we're upset about this. But know that Palantir, this is not a brand new thing. This is something that has existed for over 20 years. And one of the original investors was the CIA. The original investor, out of 3 people, three investors, one of which was the CIA. This is not fucking new. In April 2010, so 15 years ago, Palantir announced a partnership with Thomas Reuters to sell the Palantir Metropolis known as QA Studio, which is a quantitative analysis tool. And Vice President Joe Biden and Office of Management and Budget Director Peter Ozark had a press conference at the White House announcing the success of fighting fraud in the stimulus by the Recovery, Accountability, and Transparency Board. Biden credited the success to the software, Palantir, being deployed by the federal government. He announced that the capability will be deployed at other government agencies, starting with Medicare and Medicaid. This is not new. We weren't mad about it when Biden talked about it, so let's not be mad about it just because Trump is in office. That's not why we're mad, okay? So just remember these things. They estimated approximately $250 million in revenues in 2011. Great, wonderful. This software is actually really beneficial because it helps create databases efficiently for places that need databases, including the federal government. At least 12 groups within the U.S. government have been clients since 2013, including the CIA, the DHS, NSA, FBI, CDC, Marine Corps, Air Force, Recovery, Accountability, Transparency Board, and even the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So if you support the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they use Palantir. The problem is when our data is used maliciously. That is what we have a problem with. When they are trying to obtain data and create databases in order to prosecute people for things that are not crimes, that's where we have the issue. So let's not demonize Palantir. Let's demonize how they're using it. And call your senators. 5calls.org. But good news, and just like my tarot reading predicted, you can read about that on my Substack. We have fantastic news, Casey.
We do. Kilmar is back in the U.S. Kilmar has returned to U.S. soil, and though it is not in the way we would have loved for him to be returned home, we have to take the small wins where we can. So, of course, we wanted him to be returned because ICE unlawfully detained and disappeared him to CCOT in El Salvador, and going against federal court orders and Supreme Court order, they said that they would not be bringing him home, and he is home. But the reason he is home is because a sealed indictment was filed on May 21st. It was secret for a while and has just been revealed that they are accusing him of participating in nearly a decade-long conspiracy to transport undocumented migrants, including children and alleged gang members, MS-13, from Texas to various locations all over the U.S., and they have no evidence. And by that, I mean the only evidence they have is a GPS that he drove around to a lot of places, and he had a traffic stop in 2016 where he had a lot of cash on him. That was that. No physical evidence. no ties. As we know, he has no ties to MS-13, despite photoshopped tattoos, clearly photoshopped. So that's what they have. And it just so happened to be less than a week after they were supposed to turn in all of the evidence as to how they were facilitating his return. You know, so that's suspicious. That's weird. But I digress. He is back here on US soil, meaning he can meet with his legal team face to face, and he will get due process, which is what we wanted. Now, of course, this due process is not in regards to his unlawful disappearance, but hear me out. If the judges and the courts are acting in any way they have in the past 130 whatever days, they should be throwing this case out the second that they see Kilmar. And I'm saying that because now that he's home, he has evidence, he has records, he has trauma, he has seen it all, he has heard it all, he has seen it all, he has lived it all. And that's a can of worms that he is going to unload onto his legal team, who will then unload it onto this court and onto a jury. And does this administration want that? No. So they're probably fighting tooth and nail to find any bit of evidence they can before this court hearing. And I believe it's not for a couple months, which of course is buying them time. But they have already given his legal team, they've cleared them to seek sanctions against the government for violating Abrego Garcia's rights and also not facilitating his return. So they're already going after them. They're already doing that. And I'm hoping that with that, it'll hit a point where it's like, okay, like some people are saying online, like maybe he'll take a plea for not saying anything, like he'll get to stay here in the US, but he can't talk about anything that happened. I don't think that's the case. I'm just saying their legal team's ramping up because it's like, oh, you want to go down this road? Okay, we're going to go after you on the side for everything you did. So you want to take him to court? We'll take you to court. That's what's happening right now. So again, court hearings not for a couple months. That's going to be televised. That is going to be like headlining news when it happens. Like, be prepared. This is going to be as big as like your huge murder trial cases here in the US. It's going to be like Casey Anthony style. Like, every news is going to cover this. I'm not like comparing it to Casey Anthony. I'm just saying like how much it was covered, that trial. Imagine that that's what this is going to be. So you won't miss it. I promise. You will not miss it. It'll be on every news station, including Fox News. That's how big it's going to be. But he is home and he is safe. And that is what matters right now. Because for a while, we didn't even know if he was alive. So we have to take our small wins where we can. We also, this week, had another case of a teenager. Because that's what he is, a teenager. That's what he meant, a teenager. High school junior, 18 years old, in Massachusetts, no criminal record, driving to his volleyball practice. He was the one driving. He was behind the wheel, pulled over, and detained by ICE. His name is Marcelo Gomez de Silva. Marcelo was not the target. His father was. But because Marcelo was behind the wheel of his father's car, he was taken as collateral. They pulled him over and they found out that he was undocumented. So they took him on the spot. No questions, no discovery, no nothing. He has been living in the US since 2012. He had a student visa that had recently expired, and he was actively seeking asylum. He was going to his court hearings, all while still showing up at school, being a teammate on his volleyball team, being a loyal family member and part of the community, just like Jimena. The story really lines up with Jimena. But they didn't care about any of that. They didn't do any discovery. They said, oh, undocumented, done, gone. So He has been spending the last 6 days in a detention center in Burlington, Massachusetts, that I know of very well. I'm from Massachusetts. I know of that detention center. He slept on concrete. His food was crackers. And he had a metal blanket. That's how we are treating an 18-year-old high school junior. His classmates and his community rose to the occasion. They said, we're not going to be at school. This is not a time to just go about our day as normal. This is not business as usual. So they all staged a walkout. All the teachers as well. Everyone staged a walkout. The governor of Massachusetts was with them, called the whole thing inhumane. And because of that, it worked. And they released him because of the public outcry. Same as Jimena. He was released on a bond. He is back with his family, but we are not going to continue to pretend that this was a clerical error, paperwork error. This is the system doing exactly what they designed it to do, to dehumanize and to punish the most vulnerable here in the US. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter your status. If you are actively walking into your court hearing, like in Arizona, if you were filling out paperwork, you had a visa, it expired, you were going to renew it, doesn't matter. They don't want to hear any of that. They don't want due process. They don't want to do the discovery. They never wanted to. But this is where I come in, the same as I did with Jimena, and saying this is why we don't remain silent, why we cannot have the bystander effect take place, whether it is in person where you see ICE out and about doing these raids, these unlawful detainments, like we're about to talk about with LA, or whether you hear it online and you just swipe and go about your day because it didn't happen to you. You can't do that anymore. You just can't, because you're seeing it with your eyeballs. You know how much worse it's going to get. And we can't stand around and pretend it's not happening anymore, because we have power with our voices, we have power with our platforms, and we have power with the color of our skin. And we have to use it. And it works. It worked with Jimena. It worked with Kilmar. It didn't work the way we wanted it with Kilmar, but it still got him back to the US. It worked with Marcelo. It's working right now in LA. It worked in Phoenix. It's working. Worked in Milwaukee. It's working. So please. Rumesa. It's working right now with Mahmoud, even though it is, again, not the situation we want. Everything that we're doing has power. We have power in numbers, and we outnumber them. And the second you guys start to really realize that, the better, is that we do outnumber them. So those are the newer cases, but we did talk about Sofia Vargas last week. She was a 4-year-old that was here legally under a humanitarian program seeking life-saving treatment because she has short bowel syndrome, and that they were here. They used an app to get here during Biden's presidency, and because Trump hates Biden, he took it out on them, and he wanted them to self-deport, and Department of Homeland Security was tracking them on that same app that they used to get here legally. Well, we all raised a stink. I'm talking, we were loud. And they were given at least a year's asylum here. Again, I understand it is not the way we want it. We don't want an expiration date on her treatment. But whatever we can do right now to keep her here, even if it's for a year and we just continue to fight and fight, she is here for a year. By no means is that solving the problem. We still need to be loud, because it shouldn't just be a year. It shouldn't. But we, again, have to take our wins where we can. She is safe for at least a year, and that gives us time, and it gives legal team, and it gives representatives time to craft a way to keep her here. So again, another outstanding example of us not backing down. So I'm proud of everyone who is using their voice, using their privilege, using their platforms for good, and using 5 calls. I know you guys don't think it works. It does. Putting pressure on representatives, it works. All of those things are great. So shout out to you guys. But one of the biggest things that happened this weekend is in LA, and it is still unfolding to this very minute. It started on Friday around 9 a.m. ICE, Homeland Security, FBI, ATF, they launched a raid throughout Los Angeles. These were not isolated incidents. These were targeted events all over. They were in Home Depot parking lots. They were at warehouses with workers. They were at a donut shop. Again, these are not like they had a warrant for a criminal. They went after workers. They went after families. They went after children. And very quickly did the people of LA hear about this, and they did exactly what happened in Milwaukee and exactly what happened with Phoenix, but in mass numbers. They all showed up and started protesting. They showed up at the detention center where they were bringing those who were detained, and they started to protest and demonstrate. And there was a labor union president, David Huerta. He is the president of SEIU. He was there documenting it because he was watching children be torn apart from their families and children be put in zip-tied handcuffs. And obviously, it's a traumatizing event. He wanted to document everything that was happening. And when they realized who he was, they pepper sprayed him, injured him, arrested him, detained him. And not until the mayor, Karen Bass, said something, they finally got him hospitalized. So that happened. And very quickly after that, did the narrative start to spin that they were rioters and looters and people that weren't being peaceful. We live in the modern day where we're watching these live on TikTok, live on YouTube. We are watching it. It's peaceful. We're seeing it with our own eyes, but the media and this administration is trying to spin it. So very quickly did we start to see it become like a militarized event. There was raid gear, flashbangs, pepper spray, batons, shields, rubber bullets, all of this very quickly. They called in LAPD, and of course, LAPD showed up, and they are kind of acting like security for ICE right now. And no, that's not what a lot of you want to hear. That's just the reality of what's going on. And this happened all through the night on Friday. Saturday, it just amplified. People got on planes and flew to LA so that they could join in on this. The protests have spread as far as Paramount. There are crowds that are trying to block the streets so that ICE can't get through. And this is where things started to amp up. So the border czar, who we all hate, Tom Homan, he confirmed that Trump wanted the National Guard deployed. And there was some Truth Social that might have gone out of Trump thanking these 2,000 National Guard troops for showing up in LA and halting everything, sending everyone home. The reality is there was no National Guard troops even there at that point. They weren't even deployed at that point. They were all on standby. Now they have been deployed, and there's probably at most maybe 300 of them. And from everything we're seeing online, they're just standing around because it's peaceful and they don't need to do anything. So they're just getting paid to kind of watch this unfold. But we're being lied to in real time. And then Trump goes to board Air Force One today and trips and almost falls on his face. And of course, we're in the stage of bullying this man relentlessly for everything he does. So what did we do? We all got online and made funny ha-has. And that obviously struck a chord because from Air Force One, he put out a message saying that he would like to deploy the Marines and he wants to liberate California from undocumented migrants. So he basically This is not fear mongering. I'm just saying he basically wants to declare war on California because he's mad that all of us continue to bully him about being taco, about tripping, about, breaking up with his boyfriend during Pride Month. He's not he is not on board with the fact that we will not leave him alone and we will bully him into the ground because narcissists hate being bullied. They hate being singled out and they hate being bullied. So, obviously, now we are at the point where nobody's standing down on either side. LA is showing out. They are not standing down. They are just growing in numbers by the hour. We have Trump, who is quite literally trying to invoke everything he can, that he can, mind you. We will talk about that in a second of what he can and can't do. And we've got Gavin Newsom. We'll talk about him soon, but he's really not doing anything. And that's kind of where we're at. There's talks of Title 10, the use of Title 10. Title 10 is not the Insurrection Act, but that is what Trump is using as Title 10 to try to get military-style domestic deployments against our own citizens. This is an unfolding event, and we're being told that this will probably be 30 days of ICE raids across LA County. So if there's 30 days of ICE raids, that's going to be 30 days of active protesting. Because LA, they're not the one. They are not the one. And if people got time, they will fly there. I'm telling you right now, it will be a 30-day standoff if need be. And we know who's going to have to wave the white flag, and it's going to be ICE. It's going to be ICE. We outnumber them. But I want to go into what can and can't happen. Of course, the second this all happened, the fear mongering started online of everyone saying, martial law, martial law. He wants to invoke martial law right before his birthday and then have this parade and all these tanks are rolling around. Oh my God, there's tanks here. There's tanks here. There's tanks here. I've never seen a tank before. Guys, we're in training season for most of the military. Knitting Cult Lady went into great detail on this. You're going to see tanks everywhere because it is training season. You just didn't open your eyes to notice them before because we weren't in a, middle of a hostile government takeover. But they have been there. Also, we've said it time and time again, Trump cannot wake up in the morning, even if we bully him relentlessly, he cannot turn around and declare martial law. That is why we have 3 branches of government, so that our president can't just wake up and declare martial law. And even if he did, because I know he loves to post on Truth Social, like everyone's no longer allowed to wear a mask. That's not the law. He could Truth Social and say, I'm declaring martial law. That is not the law. Truth Social is not the Constitution. So the way Congress would immediately act, the way the Supreme Court would immediately act, the way the military wouldn't listen, it's just not going to happen. And if it did happen in that case scenario, again, I digress that the military took an oath to the Constitution, and also we outnumber them, and we even outnumber the military. And they are not equipped, as Knitting Cult Lady said, to take on our own citizens. They don't have experience with the terrain here to be able to do it, with the numbers and the weapons that we have as citizens here. So I just need you guys to take multiple deep breaths, take off the tinfoil hats, despiral, and just sit back down and continue to take action instead of living in fear. Because stuff like that is going to keep us from acting. And we've seen, again, how good we are when we act. And when we act peacefully, when we use our resources, we use our voices, we use our time, and we come together as a collective, peacefully. So I am shouting out to LA because I know if this is 30 days, they're ready and they're locked and loaded and they're ready. But my plea is everybody, please remain peaceful. Know what you're up against. These are rubber bullets are not just like they're going to hit you and no. You guys need to be safe. Mask up. Have a buddy. If you're going alone, find somebody you trust. Take care of each other. Document everything. Document everything that happens. And if you don't feel safe, get out of there. If things go sideways, you do not have to be the martyr, okay? Take care of each other. But know that we cannot normalize what's happening. So if you are out there, we commend you for not normalizing this behavior. And we stand with LA right now. We're very proud of them. And we are supporting, obviously, from here, but we're going to continue to cover it. If it's 30 days for the next 4 episodes, we're going to be talking about LA.
Just want to say bring water. I heard water neutralizes tear gas.
Yes, they said that. Bring water and bring like gallon waters because they can neutralize like gas bombs. So if you get like a canister or something and you can put water in it and throw it over the top of it, it will stabilize it.
If nothing else, you can taunt them with the water bottles and say, "Do you want some melted ice?"
Yes, taunt them. And also I want to point out that there's a video circulating of an LAPD officer who was tear gassed by ICE because he was just standing there, and and guess who helped him? Guess who put milk in his eyes and tried to help him? A Latina woman who owns a shop where he was sitting came outside, brought milk, put it through his eyes, and like had a rag and was helping him.
Script writers couldn't have written it better.
Yes. So that is my piece. Kitty.
I have a lot to say about this one. I apologize if we go over time just for me ranting about this. I will do my best. Okay, so according to AP News, the Trump administration announced on Tuesday that it would revoke guidance to the nation's hospitals that directed them to provide emergency abortions for women when they are necessary to stabilize their medical condition. So I want to kind of preface this with, we have 3 branches of government. We have the legislative branch, the Congress. They write legislation, the laws. We have the judicial branch, the judiciary, the judges. They really kind of decide whether or not the law is constitutional, right? And they make sure that people are obeying the law and put up the consequences if you don't, right? Then we have the executive branch. They execute the law. They don't make the law. They do not make the law. There is nothing that Trump could ever do that would create a law. He can say whatever the hell he wants. It does not make it a law. Now, this guidance is really just that. It is a guidance. And it is the way that Biden had tried to kind of counteract the total abortion bans in the United States. So that no matter which state you were in, no matter what the state abortion ban was, the federal guidance was save women's lives, save the mother. If her life is in danger, it does not matter what the abortion ban is in the state. Federal overrules the state law, and federal is saying, hey, save the woman's life. Let me be clear. Hospitals can still do that. Doctors can still do that. The guidance being revoked basically means they're not going to enforce that law. The law still exists. And if a doctor is faced with, this woman will die if I do not give her an abortion, or I could be sued, fucking get sued. I'm sorry if you end up losing your job temporarily. We will go fund you. Save the fucking life. And if you're not one who would save the life of the mother, the person who is physically there, because guess what? If she dies, whatever's inside her, if it wasn't already dead, is now dead too. So let's be real. This is not about being pro-life. This is about being pro-birth. And even then, it's not really about being pro-birth, because nothing is born if they both die. It's about being anti-women. It is about being anti-women. And anti-people with uteruses who can give birth. So, Now that I'm off my soapbox, I just want to remind everybody, you have the power if you are in any kind of emergency, pregnant or not. You can walk into any hospital and say, I need life-saving care. I am demanding life-saving care. I am demanding to be seen. Now, obviously, if you are bleeding out, you are going to take precedence over somebody with a broken finger. You're not going to be able to walk in and be like, I have a boo-boo, fix it now. That's not going to work. If you are fucking dying because you are dying of sepsis, because you need an abortion, because the fetus is already dead inside you and is rotting you from the inside out, then you go and you demand an abortion to save your life, because you are no good to anybody dead. And if they arrest you afterwards, at least you're alive and you can live to fight another day. So whatever happens after the fact is not scarier than losing your life. I just, please, 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 people, protect yourself, take care of yourself. Don't be afraid to go seek life-saving care just because of what might happen after the fact. You can deal with what happens after the fact. Take care of yourself now, please. And I'm going to throw this out there too. A compassionate doctor in Georgia, even with the current abortion ban, can sign off on Adriana Smith's fetus and say it is not compatible with life and allow them both to pass mercifully. Because let me be abundantly clear, Adriana Smith is brain dead. Her body is decomposing. That's a fact. That is an utter fact. So we are just prolonging the decomposition of her body to see what happens to the fetus. And that is because a doctor is not compassionate enough or human enough to sign off, because law enforcement does not have to confirm. Law enforcement is not a doctor. A doctor is the one that has to sign off and say the fetus was not compatible with life. Medically futile, I believe, is the term in Georgia. So a doctor has the power to sign off and say, no, sorry, this is a matter of life and death and the baby is not going to make it. So let's just go ahead and cancel this whole thing. So I have feelings about that. Read about that on our Substack. The long and short of it is, a doctor can sign off and give you an abortion, and a law enforcement officer can do nothing about it because a law enforcement officer is not a doctor, and they do not need access to your medical records without a warrant. If they try, send them away and tell them you need a warrant. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm angry.
No, people need to
Well
hear
said.
it. Well said.
Yeah.
I'm going to take wizard time so that I can calm my fucking anxiety down. Bingus bonkus, time to hit the bongus.
Yes. While you're gearing up for that, I will intro it. So I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Greta, our queen, we love Greta. She is our activist. She and members of the European Parliament, a UN diplomat, and a bunch of non-violent aid workers boarded a ship the other day bringing food, water filters, and medical supplies to people who are currently trapped under a military blockade in the Gaza Strip, because nobody else is going to help them. This was a way to get supplies to them. And they have been documenting their journey by ship. And we knew around earlier today that they were going to enter a territory in the water leading up to the Gaza Strip where Israel could intervene and intercept the ship. So we were kind of, over the past couple days, watching this journey, and this morning was a watch for whether they were going to intercept them or not. And they did say that they vowed to use force against the flotilla, which is the ship that they were on headed to Gaza. And that is what they did. They did use force. They did intercept the ship. We found that out before we recorded our episode. And they are currently on board the ship. We do have confirmation from a post that Greta made that says, if you're watching this, that means this has happened. And we are getting some video of some of the non-violent aid workers that are able to post. So the boat isn't armed. There are no weapons on board. Again, this is medical supplies, food, and water filters. This boat is not political. This boat is delivering basic human survival. So if you're defending Israel, threatening to use force, or okay with the fact that Israel has intercepted the ship and boarded it, you are defending tyranny. That's point blank, period. Sorry, that's what it is. And they are attacking activists seeking to give people in very much need basic human survival. That is the case that we're in right now. We do not have an update as of yet. The last update we got was that they are on board the ship. So because we are all, of course, we are human, we are terrified for everyone on board that ship because we know what all the outcomes could be. And Greta laid that out in the video before she got on the ship. So we decided that Kitty should do a tarot reading on Greta so that we can all see what Kitty is getting on what the outcome might be, so that we can all take some deep breaths. I know I need it.
We all need it, that's for sure. Enjoy the ASMR while I give it one more shuffle here. Okay. Oh, all right. Ooh, oh, right away. So we're starting off with the Nine of Pentacles reversed. It is feeling captive, feeling a lack of independence or dependent on a situation. And that's very much on par with being stuck and in a situation where she is now, literally surrounded by people who are preventing her from helping others. She has everything she needs, and all she wants to do is help everybody. And she's stuck, unable to get that supplies over because of a very selfish ruler, somebody who does not want her to have access to the Gaza Strip in order to get there and help anybody. But interestingly, we have the Six of Swords, which is moving on from a situation. But look, I'm interested in this imagery because we were discussing in our previous one that I wonder if there's a second boat. I wonder if there's a second boat. And so this popping up is just moving on from a hard situation into better times, smoother waters. So I'm going to ask for one more clarifier card. Actually, no, I'm going to do the top, bottom, and middle for past, present, and future, since I got the 3 here. So past, we have the Page of Wands reversed. So I kind of mentioned before that pages have a lot to do with new beginnings, new insights, inspiration, and sometimes a little bit of naivete. They're naive, they're young, they're adventurous, but they make mistakes. Wands symbolize passion, fire, and energy. So the past is her feeling stuck and unable to do anything and frustrated with all that passion and energy, unable to go anywhere with it, which matches beautifully, I must say, with the Nine of Pentacles reversed. In the middle of the deck, representing the present, what do we have here? We have the High Priestess, which is marked by the number 2. Trust your intuition. Is there a second boat? Hypothesis, speculation. I'm sitting here using intuitive tools, and I could be wrong. I'm just throwing shit out there. But I have a feeling about that. This also symbolizes law and order, balance, prosperity, kind of wisdom. This is very on par with her in general, which balances the King of Wands being reversed. So there is a very a very emotional and controlling male figure and a very intuitive, calm, smart, and prepared female figure. That's interesting. And at the bottom of the deck, look what popped up again. The Empress. The Empress and the Six of Swords. So the Empress is nurturing. She's loving. She is feminine power incarnate.
She looks like Greta.
She even looks like Greta. Oh my gosh.
That's wild. That's crazy.
She came up for the second
Again.
time when we did our practice run. She came up. We'll see.
That makes me feel so good.
That's 2 positive readings in a row that I did for Greta.
All right.
I'm excited.
Okay.
We'll do an update when we get better word on it. Again, this literally just happened like an hour or 2 ago, so we have to wait for updates as they come, and we will put those updates on TikTok and on Substack for you.
Yep. Not news, but it's still Pride Month. DM us, hit us up. We want to hear from the Legitimaquois community.
Come on.
Okay. We want to put your stuff in video. Send us videos of you at Pride events that you're going to. Send us DMs, give us stories. Tell us about a time you were at a gay bar and some wild shit happened. Like, hit us up. We want to highlight you guys. It's Pride Month. Like,
it's Pride Month, and Trump's birthday is this coming weekend. So if you want to send that in, that way we can drown him out.
I want to highlight your
control the narrative.
So
let's make his birthday.
Let's make his birthday
real gay. Let's make his birthday gay as fuck.
Make America gay again. Make America
MAGA.
gay again.
Make America gay again. Make his birthday so gay.
Okay,
make his birthday gay as fuck.
Yeah, I'm talking. We want to just post video after video after video and just drown this man out. Drown him out.
Rainbow.
So we want to hear from you. We do anything. Yes. It doesn't have to be like your story. If that's not what you want, it could just be whatever makes you feel extra special this Pride, or something with the administration that you don't like, that you would like us to speak on. Anything. Or you out celebrating Pride and you have great video and we want to post it. Anything. We just want to highlight what this month is about, and it is not about Trump's birthday.
Since nobody gave me specific stories, what I'm going to be doing is going on TikTok and highlighting a few that really emphasize the bi-erasure that I felt. One of my favorites was, I'm going to post it on the Substack, and I'm going to credit the creator, but she's looks very much like me with the haircut, and she's got tattoos and very obviously bisexual in general. And the audio is like, we just want to thank you for being such a good ally. And she's like, ally? Yeah, to the LGBT community. Yeah, you know, you've been so supportive and learning. And it's like, I'm not an ally.
She said, I'm the legit.
I'm
the bull.
So I'm going to be sharing. That was one of my personal favorites. So I'm going to be highlighting that in the Substack, where I'm going to be talking about bi-erasure and my personal experience. So I'm going to share a few funny TikToks I found. And if you'd like me to highlight yours, please share it to me. Jesus.
Hit it up. Hit us up.
Yes, hit us up. Hit us up.
All right. We got the Hot Mess Index for this week. And we have got we've got a returner. We've got somebody who loves being on this list. Gavin Newsom, for doing absolutely diddly squat for California being invaded by the president of the United States. Because since we have all been making fun of him, he said, I am going to declare war on California, specifically the Hispanic community. And so far, the only things Gavin Newsom has done was post 2 sentences on social media this past Friday. He had a statement on Saturday, essentially saying this is bad, this shouldn't be happening. We don't like this. Man, this really stinks. And today he decided to hop on TikTok and say that I want to withhold the California's federal taxes. You can't do that. That's not a thing. You can't do that. So he's done nothing. He's done nothing while his state is getting literally invaded by every federal entity that Taco can get his hands on.
Where are you? You should be out there.
Get off
If it were
TikTok.
me, I would be there.
Everyone says you're supposed to be the guy in 2028, and people keep crashing out on me every time I say fuck that guy, and you're not beating the allegations.
And it's like, no.
No. Why should I?
No.
Why? For
want
what?
Another old ass white guy. I don't want an old ass white guy for president. I fucking don't. I don't.
He'll be almost 70 by that time.
You guys always fuck it up. All of you. The first time I ever had an actually good president in my lifetime that didn't fuck it up and get impeached for a freaking blowjob was Obama. The one non-white president. Jesus. And he was the youngest one, too.
He'll be 60. Yeah, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah. Gavin, you're done.
You're done, bro. You're done, bro. Get the fuck, get out. Leave. Go somewhere.
Go announce that you're a Republican. We know you want to.
And this next one, this breaks my heart because I was not in love when I was in Colorado with the governor. Don't get me wrong. He's not perfect. But I fucking voted for you, dude. And Jared Polis, I am angry with you. As a former Coloradan / Floridian, somebody who lived in Colorado, I am angry with you, Jared Polis. Hot mess index.
Another traitor. So a whistleblower has come out, a state employee in Colorado is suing Jared Polis, alleging that the governor of Colorado has ordered state employees to illegally share personal information about sponsors of undocumented minors with DHS and ICE. Jared Polis is taking the names of undocumented teenage migrants and handing them on over to DHS.
Mm-hmm.
Why? We don't know. Are they having federal funding held over their head? Are they being threatened with something? Either way, it's not justified for you to sell out your constituents like that. And I mean, I'm surprised I'm not seeing calls for a resignation all over the place from this guy, because that's illegal. You can't do that. They are teenagers. That's just, you can't do that. That's fucked. You threw yourself right up there with Gavin Newsom with doing some fuck shit like that. Like, no, can't stand it. You gotta go, resign, get out. Enough of these people complying in advance. Who didn't comply in advance, though? We've got a couple winners for the Do Not Comply in Advance award this week. Every city and state that was able to chase ICE out of their neighborhoods. Minneapolis, San Diego, Gavin Newsom didn't say a fucking word about. And currently Los Angeles, all going toe to toe with ICE. People, like Casey said, people are flying in. They said, fuck that. We're getting in there. You're invading Los Angeles, and we're not having this shit. We're not, okay? The American people, matter of fact, the American people in the Do Not Comply in Advance award for the week, understanding the fucking assignment, saying that we have built this nation on pettiness and rebellion, and just don't tell us what the fuck to do. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
This is Hot Girl Summer, and it is Hot Girl Summer means that we chase off ICE. That's what it means to be a hot girl this summer.
Yeah.
Okay, don't get it twisted.
Okay.
You're not a hot girl if you don't chase off ice. I didn't
I
make the
mean,
rules.
hot, melting ice. Come on. All right. So,
That was a bad dad
good job.
joke.
Good job, everybody.
And finally, to round this out, we've got, yes, that really did happen. So we have some fun ones this week. We are, I saw your change for one. My favorite,
because it was
my favorite, actually, is Trump tripping up the stairs of Air Force One. I know it's stupid, but it's so funny because it's extra funny because they made fun of Joe for it over and over. Every time he tripped, every time he fell over on the bike, every time. And yet, so let us have this. We're gonna laugh at him, okay? And the fact is I know it made him so angry that we clocked it like this. We got Aaron Parnas, Midas Touch. Everyone was on it like it was breaking news.
Too.
Aaron posted it as breaking news, which is it's so
With a smile.
good, with so good. And I just know he was on that plane and he was crashing out because he declared war on California. And it's just when we know we've gotten under his skin, it's just it's a feeling I love. I love knowing that I'm keeping his skin crawling. It's just as good as the taco memes.
So much.
It is. I love it. So him tripping up the stairs, I know it sounds stupid, but it is my win of the week. Next, we've got, it's hurricane season here in Florida and anywhere else along the coast. And I know that, you know that, most of the people in America know that, even if they don't live anywhere where a hurricane might hit. But you want to know who didn't know that? The head of FEMA. Just like the head of Social Security, just like the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, just like the Secretary of Health
and Human Services.
And then next we've got the Secretary of Education can't multiply.
Yeah. So we have that one. That's one. And then next we have WWE Karen, Linda McMahon, was in a hearing and a Republican senator was trying to math. And I will preface this, okay? He was the one who couldn't math. He's the one who brought up that over 10 months, 1.5 billion would end up to be $1 trillion. But Linda agreed. And it was like, yes. And so a Democrat senator was like, I'm no mathematician, but isn't 1.5 billion times 10 definitely not $1 trillion? Because that would be 15 billion.
That's off by
and
a
she
lot
said,
of zeros.
And she said, okay. That was her response, was okay. And it's because she knew that she couldn't fight it because she really put her foot in her mouth. And she probably thought, if I just say okay, they won't bully me. No, that was caught.
She literally thought that like 1.5 billion times 10 is 1 trillion.
It just doesn't even make sense on any level.
This is the Secretary of Education.
Yeah, and I not that I expected better. No. I'm just saying, at least they all are like giving us the same energy. At least they're all on the same level playing field, okay? But last and not least, we talked about it earlier, but we gotta include it, would be Elon in his Crimea River era, telling everyone that he did in fact rig this election.
No, he wouldn't be.
As if it's not an issue for him. That's
and
so
then pretended
funny.
like the bombshell was the Epstein files.
It was. And then, him just being like, I wish you well.
Have a nice day, Donald.
Let's not get this twisted. If he gets, they said that if he is deported, that Russia will take him as an asylum seeker.
Of course.
Of course, it's so funny.
Of course. Of course.
So, yes, there were a lot of things we couldn't cover this week, guys. Otherwise, we'd be here forever. And we know you guys don't listen if it's more than like an hour and 10 minutes, which we're coming up on. So, a lot of this stuff did not make it in. And if it didn't make it in, it is either going to be covered already on our TikTok or it's going to be on our Substack. So, make sure you are following all of our socials. Definitely get a Substack. There's a ton of really great information on Substack, not even just ours, just in general. A lot of people,
Just in
a lot
general.
of independent journalists that you should be following
Aaron
because
Parnas is
mainstream
on
media.
Substack.
Yeah, you should be following, not even just Aaron. There are a ton of independent journalists that are just not on TikTok that are doing the same amount of research, if not more, than mainstream media. And we know mainstream media is dying, and we need to put our money and our energy into independent journalists that are doing double the research because they know people are going to mainstream. So definitely do that. Follow our TikTok, follow our Blue Sky. Make sure you're following all of those. We are going to be starting up candidate interviews now, so stay tuned. Again, those are going to be a separate episode. They're not going to be in our main podcast episodes on Monday. There will be a separate, probably 30-40 minute at most video in the middle of the week, probably like a Wednesday, Thursday ordeal, depending on when we can interview. So start looking out for that. We'll obviously promo it before it starts. We won't just throw them at you. But we have a really great lineup, and we're excited. And as always, we're here every Monday, here on Spotify and on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll see you next. We will see you next week because who knows? Every week we're like, what's it going to look like?
We'll hang up here and it'll already be like
it'll
half a page for episode 11 is full.
Yeah. It's so hard, guys, because we don't want to keep you on for like 2 hours talking. So the way we have to like cut down things, and we're like, I really didn't want to cut that, but I really didn't want to cut that, but we're trying to be cool for you guys. We're gonna figure it out. If we have to do 2-parters, we will, but we're trying to cover it throughout all of our social medias. So again, if it's not on here, it's gonna be on Substack, or we have already probably covered it on our TikTok. So that's just my plea to go follow us everywhere. Because why aren't you following us everywhere?
And follow us everywhere because we're each doing stuff, different. I'm doing stuff that Devin's not doing. Devin's doing more newsworthy, Aaron Parnas fun stuff. Casey as well, and I'm over here.
I'm not even posting anywhere else.
And tarot cards.
They're like,
follow Devin and me on our personals.
You can follow my personal. I just don't post on it.
You just won't do it.
Sorry, guys. I like never posted before this. It's like my era of posting, but follow them.
The only reason I'm doing
of course.
TikTok videos is to get people onto Substack. So if you're on TikTok and you're seeing this on TikTok, get the fuck over to Substack. What the fuck are you doing? We don't censor over there. They censor us here.
We're being we were super suppressed. We're kind of coming out of suppression, but we are still pretty suppressed. So make sure you're following us and hyping our stuff up. As always, like, repost, comment, and watching the video all the way through is how it helps our algorithm get out to the For You page so more people can follow and join the community. Because we'd love to get like a little Discord community together with everyone, but we need people. We need the people.
Come on down.
So come on down, join us, and we hope you enjoyed episode 10, and we'll see you next week for episode 11 and everything it brings.
11 is a master number. It's going to be a fun episode. Bye.
Bye.